This is going to be a massive official visit weekend, starting now at the University of Miami. We got some possible flips to look out for, folks.
You are Locked On Canes, your daily podcast on the Miami Hurricanes, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Happy Friday, we made it. I'm Alex Donno, your host, University of Miami alumnus, longtime South Florida sports radio vet, and contributor to allhurricanes.com. Thank you so much to the everydayers for making Locked On Canes your first listen. We're free wherever you get your podcasts. We're free on YouTube, and we're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Folks, by the way, we are live. So if you're watching us here 11:31 a.m. here on Friday, if you're in our YouTube live chat, engage in the chat, have some fun. If you see some breaking news out there, just in case you might see it before we do, let us know and make sure to smash that like button and subscribe to our YouTube channel. So I mentioned Miami's got a big time official visit weekend coming up, final visit weekend before National Signing Day. You've got several current Miami commits who will be visiting, like wide receiver Nye Carr, wide receiver JoJo Trader, safety Zaquan Patterson, edge Booker Pickett, Chris Wheatley-Humphrey, the running back from South Broward. The list goes on and on and on. But the ones we're really looking at when it comes to possible flip purposes, Miami will have Ohio State committed running back Jordan Lyle of St. Thomas Aquinas visiting, and there have been crystal balls coming in, Steve Wiltfong, Gabby Urrutia, about him possibly flipping to Miami. Hurricanes will be getting, as we covered on a late show yesterday, five-star defensive lineman Armondo Blount from Miami Central, a Florida State commit, former Miami commit. He is visiting Miami and projected to possibly flip back to Miami. How about linebacker Adarius Hayes, a Florida commit out of Largo, Florida? He's visiting Miami. Defensive back Xavier Lucas out of American Heritage. He's a Wisconsin commit. He's visiting. To help me sort through all of this madness, we had to go to one of our show favorites, and that is our boy Blue, Larry Blustein, the man, the myth, the legend, 560 WQAM. I call him boots on the ground Blustein because he goes to more high school games than anybody probably on planet Earth. Larry Blustein, how you doing, sir?
Good. Still kind of winding things down from last week. And, at any age, going to 3 games a day for 3 days, 9 games in 3 days, that kind of wears you out. But nevertheless, good way to end the season and see some really good football.
And going to that many games in that few days, like that's the Blustein special. I don't know too many other people who do stuff like that. And I was okay. So Blue, I got my spatula out for the next few days because Mario Cristobal loves to flip these verbal commits. I'd love to get scouting reports from you because again, a guy who goes to more high school games and scouts more players than anyone I know. Okay. A lot of people have been talking for, since last night about Jordan Lyle. And the running back situation is interesting for Miami because people are worried Miami might lose Kevin Riley to Alabama. He's officially visiting Bama this weekend. I don't think it's completely over for Riley, but obviously a kid from Tuscaloosa County visiting Alabama, It's always cause for concern. But now there's been some smoke about Jordan Lyle possibly flipping to the U. You've watched this player up close and personal at St. Thomas Aquinas. Give us your thoughts.
Yeah, for a couple of years. Tremendous running back, great balance, good speed. He doesn't go down on the first hit. He's a gamer. Had a really good state championship game against Homestead. Obviously, this is somebody that a lot of people have been watching all year long for all the things that he did. Had a really good game against Bosco to open up the season with a loss. But he's one of those guys that can catch the ball out of the backfield. He does a lot of really, really good things. And he's certainly somebody if Miami could land, especially the news about Riley. And I'll tell you what, though, that's kind of disheartening because I thought Riley was one of those jewels of the class, big-time kid. But you mentioned he's close by in Tuscaloosa, so if Alabama had a need for an extra running back, certainly, he would be a go-to guy.
I mentioned Florida Gators commit He's already arrived in Miami. I've seen the photos of him on campus next to the palm trees. I may have made that up that he threw up the U, but I think he may have thrown up the U, and that's Adarius Hayes, 4-star linebacker out of Largo, Florida. He's been committed, Blue, for a long time to the University of Florida. Florida obviously has had some issues keeping commits and losing players to the transfer portal after a tough season. Adarius Hayes is another one they're looking out for. Have you had a chance to scout this linebacker in person? Give me your thoughts.
Yeah, I've seen him for a couple of years, back when he was a freshman and, kind of made the explosion in camps, and have had an opportunity to watch him mature and grow. Big time kid, no doubt. Big elite national recruit, somebody that you take a look at, and he's a big, thick kid. Maybe probably faster than the kid Bryant that they got last year, but a lot like him in size and, his durability. He would definitely be an asset to what Miami's trying to do. And, especially bringing a young kid like that to go with some of the veteran players that Miami already has.
And by the way, Robbie Duke says that, Hayes did throw up the U in that. I wasn't imagining things when I saw that picture of him throwing up the U, and so did Armondo Blount. Let's talk about Armondo Blount, Blue. Miami Central, he has reclassified from 2025 to 2024, and part of the reason why he could do that is he's an excellent student, great in the class. Like, not everybody can just decide, I'm going to graduate high school a year. I couldn't have done that, right? He's got the grades to do it. He was a Miami commit. Then he was a Florida State commit since October. Now there's smoke about Armondo flipping back to Miami. This is a two-parter, Blue. I'd love your scouting report on Armondo Blount out of Miami Central. That's number one. And number two, if Miami can pull off this flip after recently flipping Justin Scott, is this the best defensive line class potentially that Miami's ever had?
Ever. By far. I mean,
Wow.
if they can get this class, especially these guys at the last minute, and especially what they have on hand with Scott, and who's a beast. This is definitely it. And Blount, I've had an opportunity to watch Blount since he was in 8th grade. Started at Dillard High School as an 8th grader. Major athlete, quick, strong, rated as the number 1 shot putter in the country for his age. And it just shows you his athletic ability and versatility. And between he and Randy Adarius at Miami Central, they dominated that front line this past year. And he's one of those dudes that comes in there, gets a little bit of playing time, as a freshman, but extensive playing time. The one thing that differs him than Blount is one of the, my head's spinning. The young man, Bain.
Bain,
I knew it was a B.
How can you forget Bain?
Yeah, but the difference, Bain comes in as a pure football player. I mean, and he's had extensive time. You look at somebody like a Blount, and he's always kind of had help, on the line with him. And that's especially since he came over to Miami Central. This is a guy that will develop into something very, very special because he has the size. He has the ability to rush the passer, also stop the run. And they're just being a little bit bigger than most of the kids that Miami had. He'd be a big time kid.
I love it. And we have so much to get to. By the way, people are asking us about the transfer portal quarterbacks. We are going to talk about Cam Ward and Will Howard, which are Miami's top 2 options. And something interesting Larry Blustein and I have to get to is the narrative suddenly changing with Cam Ward, because his father said something very, very interesting that Miami and Florida State need to pay attention to. I will explain what we're talking about, and we will continue this amazing conversation with Larry Blustein. And Blue is the best. If you don't already follow him on X, follow him at Larry Blustein, add him on Facebook, because this man is a wealth of information on high school sports, recruiting. You want to keep up with your favorite athletes around South Florida and around the state, you've got to follow Larry Blustein. And my friends, we are only getting started on this episode. We'll talk transfer quarterbacks when we come back. You want to keep it locked right here to Locked On Canes. Guys, you want to keep it locked into Game Time. Buying last-minute tickets for your favorite sporting event, your favorite concert, your favorite comedy show, musical theater. Buying last-minute tickets should no longer be a stressful experience. In fact, I look forward to buying tickets at the last minute because I know I'm getting amazing flash deals and I'm getting the very best deals on the Game Time app. This is truly amazing. Killer last-minute deals, all-in prices. They show you views from your seat right there on Game Time. Like, guys, I was looking up Pinstripe Bowl tickets the other day, and they show you the exact field angles you're going to get from Yankee Stadium when Yankee Stadium is configured for football games, because obviously that's normally a baseball spot. You find all of this at Game Time. Guys, Game Time deals on tickets right up to the start of the event, and even an hour after it starts, you can get these deals. This is the spot for last-minute tickets, and the Game Time guarantee means you'll always get the best price. If you find tickets in the same section and row for less, Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. So download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONCollege, all one word, LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last-minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. Oh, thank you so much. Hold on, I got to hit my cue here. That's a new feature we added. So I'm like, wait, Donno, you got to press another button. Thank you so much for making Locked On Canes your first listen and your first watch. We're available free wherever you get your podcasts and available free on YouTube. And we have the man, the myth, the legend, Larry Blustein with us. So, all right, Blue, the latest on Cam Ward. And I'm wondering if this is maybe a bluff from the family. So Ward's father told Cane Sport last night, don't forget the NFL is a big option for him, he said. Like, it's 50-50, he said, whether it's Miami or Florida State, but going to the NFL, because they're still waiting on their final draft evaluation for Ward, that's still something on the table. Now, when I see that, I'm like, a lot of Canes fans are like, oh, we definitely got to go to other options now because we don't know what this guy's going to do and how long it's going to take. I still expect him to pick a college at the end of the day, but I don't know, Blue, like if and this is a deep quarterback class, Blue, do you think Ward is going to end up possibly declaring for the NFL, or do you think it's going to be Miami or Florida State for him?
Yeah, great question. The kid could play, no doubt about it. And Miami needs to have an answer quick. I mean, they really do. It's like last year when Dawson came in kind of late. He didn't have that much time to work with Tyler Van Dyke. And spring came and everything was so quick. They need to get a quarterback in yesterday, whether it's Howard, whether it's whoever it is. And Miami needs to have him in place as soon as they get back from the bowl game. They'll spend all of January going over things. And so by the time they get to February and March and spring, they'll have it and they can build their offense around them instead of doing it at the last minute. And I think that cost them a lot of valuable time last year. So whoever it may be, I'm not skirting your question. I think Ward's an extremely talented guy. I think this quarterback class that's coming in may push him down a little bit.
Yeah.
Then I think that may be a reason why he's going to go to college. Two good options, obviously. Florida State is a nice landing spot, but because of the fact that they lost Johnny Wilson or losing a couple of other guys at receivers.
Coleman. Yeah.
Right. And I think too, part of his visit to Miami, wanted to know kind of who's going to be the number one wide receiver. He knows he has a lot of guys in Brashard Smith and Xavier and also Bobby Washington and Ray as slot kids, but who's going to be his number one guy? Who's going to be that guy? I mean, they lost Jacoby. I mean, they lost, what's his name? I can't even think of his name, but they do have Jacoby George. Yeah, right. Jacoby George coming back. He had a really good year, made up for kind of a disappointment the year before. But is he the guy? But the very fact that Ward can run the ball, they have a really good running game, especially if everybody comes back intact. And we get to see a few of those guys. And Riley would be perfect. I mean, I saw a question asked Riley or Lyles, and Lyles is really good. Don't get me wrong, but But Riley's one of those guys that take you probably within a year or so to that next level. He's a big time kid, a major back. And Miami's got some really good backs. Obviously, don't get me wrong. I mean, last year they showed off a couple of really good guys, but I think Ward, his determining factor, and I don't really know much about whether he's going to go to the NFL or not, but from the college level, I think he needs to see, I think Miami's offensive line and where they're headed offensive line wise is going to give them, because at Washington State, he had really nobody. I mean, he was always on the run as far as the offensive line. I think that at the end of the day, this would be a great place. Howard also. Howard's a tremendous football talent. He throws the ball real well. He's a very intelligent guy. So at the end of the day, no matter if they settle or they make a decision, but Alex, they got to make a decision quick.
Yeah.
I mean, they got to, when they come back from the bowl game, they got to have somebody that's going to be in college and ready to go.
Yeah, no, it's a great point. And let me just mention real quick as a side note, because people are pointing this out in the live chat. And I always encourage you guys, if you see something breaking, let us know. I had a feeling this was coming. But offensive line, former Miami commit Kavion Broussard has decommitted from Miami. And my expectation heading into today was he's going to wind up at Ole Miss. I don't know if he's officially flipped to Ole Miss just yet, but I think that's what's going to happen. I think that this is one the staff was anticipating. Obviously, this is not something that was unexpected for Miami's coaching staff. But I want to continue the conversation on these transfer quarterbacks because, Blue, we talked about Cam Ward. What about Will Howard, who from Kansas State seems like he's strongly considering Miami, and USC, which a program you know very well, is also very much on the radar for him. How much do you like Will Howard, and what could he do if he winds up at Miami?
Yeah, no, I like Will Howard a lot. I mean, like I said, to me, the two transfer portal quarterbacks are the two that Miami are pursuing. Those are the two guys that can take you to that next level. And that's the one thing you ask yourself when you get a kid or you recruit a kid or you get a transfer or wherever, does this guy take us to the next level? Does he, he's not just going to be a guy that's going to maintain this 7-5 kind of thing. And I think both of them have that opportunity because of the fact that they're skilled, they're athletic, they're really good quarterbacks, good football players. And I think that with what Miami has on hand, especially from a weapon standpoint, and they still need a wide receiver one. They need someone that's going to, a Rambo type of guy. It's going to take the top off of it. It's going to come in here for a year or two and just turn, because that's the thing too. You don't know how long these guys are going to stay anymore. This craziness with the NILs and with the transfer portal, you can get a kid in, he's going to feel comfortable, but then the next year he gets a better deal someplace else. And so you got to kind of solidify what you're going to do. And if somebody has a really good year this year to turn Miami's program around, what's going to probably end up is Miami's going to get one of the marquee kids, but they're probably going to have to, pretty much stay with what they have for a backup, which is not bad. I mean, they're going to learn. You just need that marquee dude in there. So the two, that Emery and also whatever they do with Jacurri, and hopefully he has a good bowl game and he impresses during the practice weeks and stuff. But that's what you need. You need that marquee guy, whether it's Will Howard or whoever. I'm on board with both. I think both of them are really, really good. Miami put the hard press on them, and they should. Mario needs that answer quick. He needs that answer yesterday from these guys. So let them get that out of their system. Let them take their visits. Let them see what everybody else has to explore. But at the end of the day, I think Miami's going to win out on who they need.
Blue, a general recruiting question for you, because one of the reasons why you and also our good friend Brian Smith are such valuable resources on this channel is you guys don't just look at the stars and you don't just watch, the 5-minute huddle reels and stuff like that. Like, you do so much in-person scouting. Now, Miami right now, their class of 2024 is trending to be in the top 5, potentially even the top 3, because if Miami could flip Adarius Hayes and Armondo Blount before National Signing Day, there is definitely a path to be a top 3 class, maybe even number 2. I don't think anyone's catching Georgia, but Miami might finish with a top 3 class this year, Blue. But you always tell me don't go by the stars strictly. You have to go by the scouting. So you look at this projected class of 2024 for the Miami Hurricanes. It obviously passes the eye test for the recruiting junkies who log onto all the services. But as someone who scouted most of these players in person, is this Miami class trending as well in your mind as it's trending on the 24/7 and the rivals?
Yeah, no doubt. You look at each one and break everybody down and see what they bring to the table as football talent. I think they've done a tremendous job. And you're right. I look past the stars because a lot of the people that award these stars really don't see them play. And that's the thing. They go on hearsay or they go on somebody else's opinion. And that's the one thing I've really felt fortunate to do over the years is get an opportunity to eyeball these kids from 5 feet, 6 feet away, talk to them, see what type of personality they have and what they bring to the table, all around, not just as a football player with the X's and O's.
I love it. Larry Blustein is with us, and he was at the state championships, boots on the ground there. And I want to get Blue's take on especially the Chaminade guys, because Miami's got JoJo Trader and Zaquan Patterson both committed and both visiting this weekend. I think Miami still has an eye on CJ Bailey, although NC State might have locked that one down.
Yeah.
And obviously, Miami's got their eyes on Jeremiah Smith, as many others do. So you know what you want to do, my friends? We're not done yet. We're still only getting started here. You want to keep it locked right here to this all-new episode of Locked On Canes. And folks, you want to be keeping it locked to Prize Picks. Prize Picks is the largest daily fantasy sports platform in North America. The easiest and most exciting way to play DFS, because it's just you against the numbers. Instead of battling thousands of other players, including pros and sharks, you pick more than or less than on 2 to 6 players' stat projections, and you watch the winnings roll in. Guys, with basketball season here as well, you can now pick combo projections across football and basketball from the Specials League. Prize Picks even offers a reboot policy, which is so cool, so that your entries stay in play, even if one of your players gets injured. For football and basketball games, if you have a player who exits the game in the first half and does not return in the second, that player is rebooted. Prize Picks is the only daily fantasy sports platform with an injury insurance policy. And it's the most fun I've had, winning up to 25x my money this football season. You can turn $10 into $250 with just a couple of taps. It's so much fun and it's addicting. Go to prizepicks.com/lockedoncollege and use code LOCKEDONCollege, all one word, for a first deposit match up to $100. Go to prizepicks.com/lockedoncollege for a first deposit match up to $100 with code LOCKEDONCollege. Prize Picks truly is daily fantasy sports made easy. Thank you so much for making Locked On Canes your first listen today. Guys, after you're done watching Locked On Canes, make sure Locked On Sports Today is your second watch. They're streaming 24 hours a day. They do not sleep. They're like Mario Cristobal at Locked On Sports Today. 24/7 streaming YouTube sports channel, the only one of its kind. This network, Locked On, literally launched the first 24/7 streaming sports YouTube channel. So you want to check it out at Locked On Sports Today. The man, the myth, the legend, Larry Blustein is with us. All right, Blue, I want to start with Chaminade because I was watching their state championship. That toe tap catch by JoJo Trader was incredible. Zaquan Patterson has been a monster all season long. What did you see, not only in the championship game, but all season long from these Miami Hurricanes commits?
Well, I've said all along that Zaquan Patterson, especially now that Cam has moved on, is going to come in there and kind of fill that spot. It's tough to say he's going to do the same thing, but he's got the ability. He hits you and knock you out if you don't watch out. And he's got great hips, so he could cover a little bit. He's a little looser. He's been playing varsity football for 5 years. Before he got to Chaminade, he played for a year in 8th grade. He's a dude. He's one of those guys that when Miami locked him down and got his commitment, they were all excited because they know that this is one of those guys that could go to anywhere. Alabama or Georgia, but to have him stay home obviously is huge. Josiah Trader's the man child. Let's put it. When he played in the state championship game when he's at Central, played one play on defense and he went 96 yards with an interception. So he's very skilled. I think, the thing is people kind of get blinded by the fact that that Jeremiah gets all the ink, and and then anytime he does something, people forget about Josiah. But Josiah, from a standpoint of making catches and moving the chains, big time kid. And down the line, he could be wide receiver 1, but he's got to come on and kind of like battle for it, because I think Jacoby George last year had a really good year, and he kind of, started impressing and got open and made some catches instead of dropping like he did during last spring. So, as far as those two, you're right about CJ Bailey. Dave Dorn was up there, Mr. Non-personality, I call him. The guy will stand on the dang sideline and never really say much, but he was there. The presence of having the NC State coaches is always impressive. And, from that standpoint, Chaminade put their best foot forward. They have a couple of younger kids too that Kevin Beard and Coach Mirabal were looking at when they were up there. But the great game for me is the Mandarin and Columbus game, where you had Derek Plass, who's a stud. I mean,
I love that kid.
This kid's a big time kid, going in several plays against Dylan Russell. Let me tell you, don't sleep on Dylan Russell. For all these people who are on your site or any other site that don't watch these kids play, they'll see him on video or hear from somebody else. I've seen him 5 times this year. The kid's a man child. He's strong. He's very instinctive, and he'll give you fits. And he gave Derek, they kind of split. When I talked to Mirabal about him, about watching those guys, he gave the offensive guy the edge, but obviously he would.
Yeah, sure.
But you got to love what you saw out of those two guys, especially. And a lot of fun. St. Thomas, Mac's a big time kid. Another one, lineage to Miami, cover corner, great hips. I think he's emerged as one of the top corners, definitely in this class, and somebody who can come in and because of the fact that he's been around this football at a high level for a long time. So I think this, especially up there and watching, and you got a chance to see some of the like Jamie French and people like that. But Miami's got to focus, obviously, on the kid Mills out of Homestead for the 25 class, because he tore it up. He just tore it up. And this is where you make your mark. If you do it at a high level state championship with a lot of coaches, watching, and this is where you kind of turn the corner, and not because somebody gets it done during the summer in a pair of shorts and a t-shirt. This is where it's done. 4th and 2, you go for it. The kid makes it. That's what you want. You want to judge the kids up close, personal, not so much on what the film is or what somebody says or what you've heard. There's no substitution to seeing these kids live, because you not only get a chance to see their skill level, but you get a chance to see their character, which is huge.
By the way, I want to actually, I was going to say remind you guys, but how can I remind you when I haven't told you yet? I'm actually going to be filling in for Larry Blustein this Tuesday night, 8 to 10 p.m. on 560 WQAM, because, Blue, you're going to be at an awards ceremony. You are going to call in. Like, we're going to get you on the show during the 9 o'clock hour.
Definitely. Yeah. And it's the Nat Moore Award, and
it's huge.
Obviously Josiah Trader's up for it, Jeremiah's up for it, and Jordan Lyle. So those are 3 guys. 2 of the guys that Miami's really targeting, and LeWayne McCoy, who's a commitment to Florida State out of Miami Central. So 4 good guys will be there. There's been a lot of publicity on it, so we will be there on Tuesday night, and then join you in the 9 o'clock hour. We'll talk, especially on the eve of National Recruiting, National Signing Day. So we'll have a lot to talk about then. So it'll be a good night for us, and I appreciate you sitting in for us. But this was one of those times that you got to be live on the scene to see this event, which has turned out to be really, really good over the last 4 years. And a couple of Miami commitment from last year 2 years ago was in the finals too. So, a lot of good talent.
Fantastic. So yeah, that'll be Tuesday night on radio. I'll be filling in for Blue. Blue is going to join us as well, 8 to 10 p.m. on 560 WQAM in the Odyssey app in Miami. And make sure you check Blue out every week on that station, 560 WQAM. Thank you for checking us out here on Locked on Canes. And guys, we always keep the conversation going when it comes to recruiting visits, possible flips, one-on-one questions. We keep it going on the Locked on Canes Insiders chat. So if you haven't signed up already, and you could try it free for 14 days. It's like a free Christmas gift you can give to yourself. Locked on Canes Insiders. I include the link in the show description below. Click that link, sign your phone number up. You get text messages directly from my phone to yours. Try it free for 14 days. And then if you like it, you can opt in for $4.99 a month. We give you a lot of added value there. So thank you so much, Larry Blustein, and enjoy your weekend coming up.
Anytime. Thank you, Alex.
Follow him on X at Larry Blustein. And guys, we will talk to you again next time on another episode of Locked on Canes, part of the awesome Locked on Podcast Network. Your team every day.